Hello, hello, hello. I'm not sure if the audio is any good or not, but yeah, we'll wait and see if anybody shows up before I start getting into this. Sorry, I've been gone for a couple of days. I was indisposed, so. But lately, I've started working on a profile based on all the facts and the images and footage from the crime scene photos, and witness testimony or not testimony, but basically what the witnesses saw beforehand and what people who saw, yes, I have seen the crime scene photos and everything else. No, I will not show them to you. As I said, we're going to make another minute or two so some people get in here. Then we're going to talk about profiles. Well, I'm going to talk about, I guess I'm going to say it's like a 70, 65% done profile of the Delphi killer because I hear way too, well, I'll get to that in a minute. And then we're going to get into a little bit of, I don't know, problems with profiles, what a profile is, and all that stuff, and instances where the profile was much, much wrong uh, for what they were looking for. So, but yeah, before I give my profile, I'm going to basically tell you the positives and the negatives as far as profiling is concerned. So I just hear way too often the phrase, and it's usually by the innocenters, they say the words, but Richard Allen doesn't meet the profile. Well, I'll tell you all what. I'm not sure about this episode, but I'm going to give you my profile of the Delphi killer. And I'm going to explain why each detail is like it is. I'm still crafting it a little bit more, so I'd like to add a little bit more to it. But I'm just going to give you a basic profile or whatever of the Delphi killer. Like I said, I'm going to explain each detail to you. That way you have an idea of how I came to that decision based on, we're going to cover an estimation of the killer's age, maturity, as in maturity level, etc., their intelligence, whether they're antisocial or not. Uh, I would say race, but I'm pretty sure the witnesses got that all covered because nobody said anything not. Well, we saw a white guy, So, the silent people. I love the silent ones. They're the fans that just don't want everybody to know they're fans. And then I'm not sure about the next episode, but the episode after that, I'm going to show everybody how to make a profile. hmm But you might not like the idea because one of the major parts about making a criminal profile is to see the victims and how they are left and the crime scene. Now, if you don't have the ability or the want to, well, then you probably don't want to make a profile. And that does mean, yes, indeed, the profile given by John Douglas in regards to Delphi, which I'm not even sure if he has that video up anymore. It was obvious, to me at least, that he was profiling Tony Klein, not the Delphi killer. And I also asked him in an email if he had ever seen the Delphi murders crime scene or the crime scene photos. He said no. Well, you're now telling me that you made a profile based on a double homicide that you've never seen the victims or how they were left or anything like that, or the crime scene. And that's so much of a major part to a profile, it would be kind of ridiculous. So I get where a lot of the stuff he got came from. Other parts, no. It doesn't show that whatsoever. What's up, Shibby? Already had a troll? That's fabulous. I love trolls. But yeah, I found out that like Jinx watches every episode and stuff now. Apparently, you gotta love it when your haters are sitting there for every episode. But Yeah, I think people don't understand too much about the whole profiling thing and everything else. And maybe if they had a little bit of insight or whatever, you know, points, ways to go or whatever, and what details kind of stand out like a sore thumb that literally tell you exactly the type of person that you were looking for. And I will say beforehand, that's okay. I didn't expect many people. Well, then the numbers start spiking. But only one person talking or typing, so don't bother me. For one, you don't need to be a psychologist or criminal justice freaking learned psycho. But yes, I did take 4 years of psychology. Deal with that as what you will. It is not recommended or needed in this instance. Now, certain instances, okay, we're going to guess that he's probably average to lower IQ. Now, everybody's going, what do you mean by that? Because smarter killers and stuff like that will use things like indirectly bombs, poisons, all kinds of happy-go-lucky stuff, things that won't leave a trace or something for you to be, or at least the least amount of traces possible for you to get tracked back to in your murder, because they so carefully plan it all out in advance. Now, in this instance, we know he used a gun and the box cutter. Don't even get me started on that because, yeah, I still don't. Yeah, there's more to it than that. So yeah, we know he's white because many witnesses saw him, and he was obviously white or severely light-skinned Latino. I guess it's possible, right? Uh, Now his age. This is where it starts getting a little. Ugh. All right, I'm going to tell you right off the bat before I start getting into these other details what a profile is. It's basically using the laws of averages to come up with a theory based on how a crime is committed and how, all the planning and everything that it took, if any, and where the weapon came from, if any, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all these things combined to make a hypothesis of the type of person that would commit this crime. Now, I can tell you, based on the fact that he had his face covered when he knew he was going to be around the most people, doesn't lead me to believe that he would be an antisocial person because he was very worried about being identified. An antisocial person doesn't got to worry about that, right? There you go. Also, what was it? Yeah, I mean, that's a major part of the whole thing. I think Richard Allen probably even called in himself to give that tip or whatever, just because he was worried he was going to be identified by somebody because, his job, I guess. But yeah, you're not talking about somebody that maybe they have some antisocial tendencies and stuff like that, but in reality, they're in a situation or an occupation that would easily make them identifiable. The low to average intelligence also fits into everything we know about them. All right, based on where the crime scene was and where the murders were committed and all that other stuff, we're looking at a local person because most people that were even local didn't even know about the trails, let alone the bridge or the area behind the bridge. And a person that's able to blend because barely anybody noticed him until it was as he was coming in. Now, once he left, I'm not sure why, but a lot of people noticed, but not, he didn't stand out. Is a lot of what I heard from the witnesses and stuff. And that, yes, that was beforehand. Uh, the age, that's where the problem lies. Because on average, most of your budding psychopaths and everything else, uh, if that's the case in this situation, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to try to guess. But based on other crimes that were committed out on trails and secluded areas and stuff like that, you're looking at careful planning and everything. If not, even if the victims weren't planned, the crime scene itself and where it was in relation to where he kidnapped them and everything else. well planned. The term often used is organized crime scene with unorganized victims. All right. I still believe, at the moment at least, that hmm, it's the best way to explain it. Until somebody can offer me some sort of evidence or whatever that points to him or them, targeting them girls beforehand. And I don't mean him as in you know who, I mean him as in general. And I'd say the age of the criminal would be late 20s to late 30s, which I know what everybody's going to say. But Richard Allen was 44. Like I just now told you, it's a guess. A hypothesis is nothing but a educated guess based on and profiling is educated guesses made about a unsub or whatever, based on all the times before with similar crimes and such. Which, if you look up a lot of the crimes and such involving trail type murders and everything else, you're basically going to get an average range of age, depending on what weapons used and everything, to late 20s to late 30s. Often they are older than that. So, and we're just talking about 5 years. Profiling is a tool, not perfect. As you know, it's basically guesses. If let's speak hypothetically on this real quick. You get into a crime scene. Hypothetically speaking, you're a cop. Now you see that there's been a window broken into at a house. So you go in the house. You find the victim's been murdered by, I don't know, a kitchen knife from their own kitchen. Uh, and let's say they've been sexually assaulted too. Now, the crime scene is left with the victim still disrobed, and their clothing in some parts were cut off and other parts ripped off. Now, that sounds weird, but I mean, other than the race, what does that tell you anything about what kind of suspect you're looking for? Well, it should, as a profiler or whatever would say, because that would tell you that this might have been a chance encounter of somebody breaking into a house or something like that, or they saw the victim beforehand and then decided to break in when they saw that nobody else was there. Instead of using a ruse or something, see, that's where we get into the high intelligence. The things that were happened in the crime will tell you the intelligence level of the criminal itself. The fact that bridge guy had to pull a gun and order them off that bridge. That's the first signs of somebody to the low to average intelligence. He couldn't. A lot of people say the words, "Hey, he had a puppy and this, that, and the other." No, or he had told him he was a cop. No, he didn't. Not that we know of, at least. None of that stuff. So it becomes literally he just points a gun at him and says, "Guys, down the hill." As far as we know, that's forceful, demanding, and all. That's Um, he's just using box cutter. What if the razor blade broke? All kinds of different other things going wrong. This, that, and the other. And I'm not so sure the gun even properly worked at the time, to be honest with you, because there's something odd about that, in my own personal opinion. Which left him the chances of getting a ton of blood on himself. He could have been discovered because the area was pretty well, there's a lot of people that live around that area. I think he was able to be spotted by at least 2 different houses. So if somebody had just looked in the right direction at the right time, he could have been discovered right then. Weber House, and I forget the other one. So no, this was not a very smart crime at all. Was not well planned out. I mean, he had a decent place to take him. If he, and at that point in time, and no, I don't believe he planned to kidnap him, as in take them away from trails. I don't think he ever meant to. He was never going to. Um, hmm. Oh, and the last part is based on the fact that of the trails, knowing where the trails were. Not only can we figure out that he's a local, he's your outdoorsman types. You know, because this is a place frequented by people that like to get outdoors, go for walks, do this, do that. You know what I mean? And yeah, that would actually point to people that were like hunters, and they would also point to people like fishermen and such. Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, these are the major plot points of the profile. And for anybody, and if anybody tells you that none of these sound doesn't match Richard Allen, yes, it does. Very much so matches Richard Allen. So I want to know where the hell you heard that bullshit from, because I'd love to know where that profile is. Because people keep talking about it, but I ain't seen it. In fact, other than Douglas's bullshit one, and yeah, I called him out on it because you know me, I'm an asshole. He didn't profile Bridge Guy. He profiled Tony Klein if he were Bridge Guy. He hadn't seen the crime scene. He didn't see the victims. He saw nothing. And I don't know. I just keep hearing a lot of bullshit lately. I just watched a stupid thing with Bob Mata on it. And it was funny because he was telling people, like, well, Bridge Guy definitely was taller than most people think and all this other crap or something along those lines. And I'm just like, bro, were you not the one who, right as soon as Richard Allen was convicted, you came out on the news and shit and said, well, it's obvious by the video that, you know, Bridge Guy is a really small guy. Small as in how? Well, sure, he's a short guy. Bro, do you even know the truth? Or you just make up shit as you go? That's how I personally feel on the matter. I don't care if people love him. I don't care if they hate him. That's your business. But if you're going to come out here spouting shit like you're a damn expert and stuff, that at least have the decency to keeping your story straight. That's all I ask. But yeah, instances or whatever where profiling went incredibly wrong. Um, let's see. At first, in the Atlanta Tao murders, it was said that the suspect would probably be white. The ones that the cops came up with, that is. It wasn't until I think it was Robert Ressler or somebody came in and said that the criminal was black. Which now they're going back and forth saying, well, he probably was white. It was some KKK. But I'm sorry. Obviously, most people haven't looked up the information on the case since then, and they've retested DNA on all the victims, and I think at least 4 or so were linked to Wayne Williams, if I remember correctly. To where the point is everybody's shut. Yeah, but that's we're at what, 31, 35? I forget how many. Another one, like a really massively horrible one. The FBI had gone to Mexico, oddly enough, and they helped the Mexican police and all the federales come up with a profile for the little old lady killer. And I think they said it was like a younger to middle age, like 20s to 30s man with I forgot something about the bridge guy. I'll get back to it in a second. But yeah, early 20s to late 30s man, very masculine to be able to, you know, do what he had to around these women and this, that, and the other. Uh, Again, the low to average intelligence and stuff. And it was so bad of a profile that no problem. And it was so bad to the profile because the perpetrator was a woman, a former professional wrestler. Oddly enough, you know. But if you think about it, it kind of in a way is the main part. Why did they so suspect that it had to be a man in the first place? I think that's where they might have gone wrong. I mean, the victims weren't sexually assaulted or anything like that. So in instances like that, you have to be a little bit leery of that kind of stuff. Yeah, she's a big ass, scary looking woman. I tell you what, she'll beat your ass. But and the worst one I can think of at the moment, at least, for messed up profiles, is Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Now, I'm sure everybody's heard of the case, but I'm not sure if everybody's uh, knows what's up as far as the profiler is concerned in that case. But yeah, they thought that the bomber, this was only made after the first 3 bombs were sent, was a disgruntled former worker who was married and had kids and able to blend and do all this other stuff with a low to average IQ and a bunch of other things. And literally, damn near everything on the list was wrong. And like straight up wrong, okay? If you know about Kaczynski, he was highly fucking intelligent. Highly intelligent. That man was a professor at, I think it was Stanford or Berkeley. And before that, he went to college and had multiple degrees and all kinds of shit. So we're going to take off that low to average intelligence because that man's a genius. He wasn't married. He was around 18 to 21 at that time. He was actually, I think, in his mid 30s or even older. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have kids. The only part they had correct was probably that he was a white guy. And if you look that up, you will find out that they had so many things wrong on that damn profile. It's more of a shocker. They better be glad his brother decided to turn him in. Murder sheets. Well, I mean, I ain't got too much of a problem with murder sheets, believe it or not. The only thing I really say that is, I don't even really call it bad. Is it's the one time when they email me a bunch. That's all. And well, yeah, that's because they wanted to interview somebody that I was talking to. Well, it can't be late every time. Well, I mean, is it pretty bad because it's pretty bad, or is it pretty bad because you feel like you already have your mind made up? Because one of the people I remember saying that Richard, the key phrase that caused me to even make this episode was you. You literally told me, and I'm not sure where you got that idea from, that the profile for the bridge guy, as in the Delphi killer, doesn't match Richard Allen. Ooh, that might be bad. Ooh, yeah, that might be bad. You may have a point there. And I'm sorry to say, the most important and pertinent information so far, other than the age being 5 years off, which I'm sorry, it's not saying much. It does. It does match Richard Allen. He fits every single bit of it. He may be having a antisocial personality or traits, but his job, which is a low to average intelligence job, which come on, retail, just saying. It's either a young person's job, but somebody that's doing it in their late 40s or early or mid 40s, yeah, there's a reason you're there, right? But it's a job, even though an antisocial person can do it, that might freak some people out about being identified and stuff because you have to deal with people no matter what. That's what I'm saying. Basically, I said he's a low to average intelligence white male because of witnesses. Outdoorsman type, could be a hunter, could be a fisherman, anything like that. Has to be a local and able to blend in because other than the fact that most people saw him, and it was only the girls that really, and Betsy Blair, the two people, the two sets of people that he made odd gestures towards, if I remember, yeah, basically. So, it was, are the only ones that actually really keyed in on him. Most people just saw him and, he kept on going. I'm not entirely sure I even believe in the whole muddy bloody thing because the timing does not fit, in my opinion. It doesn't fit at all. How can he be seen at one time by a whole shitload of people and then very quickly, not far from there, by someone else? And apparently, as far as we know, at least, the way he was described and what he was wearing was really different than Susan Kavanaugh's uh, early on. I guess what do you call that? I forget, but you know what I'm saying. When she came in first, it changed from when she was at trial. But you don't have to go to Delphi High School to be a local. He lived there at the time for 16 years. If that doesn't make you a local, I don't know what it is. He bought his house in 2001. Yeah, deposition. I had to go give one of those in the robbery case recently. But yeah, if he bought his house in 2001, that means he lived there for over 15 years. Easy. That makes you a local. That'd be like saying Ruckus isn't a Florida local because he wasn't born here or something like that, hypothetically speaking. But he's lived here most of his life. So yeah, I'm gonna, 15 years is a long time. And you got to imagine how many people in Delphi have to go out looking and wandering around and taking walks and asking people, hey, where's a good place to go hiking around here? Just to find out about the places like the trails and the bridge and all that. And even if you know where the trails are, oddly enough, most of the people didn't know about the bridge or what's behind the bridge. And since we know Bridge Guy himself wanted the girls to go back behind the bridge, he would have had to know all about that area. And, yes, Richard Allen knew all about that area. Him and his, I guess, Walmart people. I'm not sure how true that story is, but they went back there and tore down the shed and all kinds of other stuff. That doesn't make you a local. It has nothing to do with who knows you and who doesn't know you. Being local is being around an area for a specifically decent amount of time. If you live there and you shop there and you do things there and you've done so for 15 years, more than 15 years, then you're a local. And also, he lived in Peru before that. That means he's still local to Carroll County. I think that's in Carroll County, right? I don't know. Charles delivers hoe is different. Hey, usually I'm the one that's typing weird. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. But yeah, Mexico itself, where he was born and all that, is, if I remember correctly, like 50, 40 something. No, like a 40-minute, yeah, like a 30 to 40-minute drive from Delphi. That'd be like somebody saying that I'm not local to Cape Coral because I lived in Fort Myers. If it's in my county or my area around my county, I'm sorry, that means I'm local. So basically, most of his life, that's not what local means. Do I need? All right, hold 1 second. I'm going to look up the definition of what the term local to an area is, just to make sure we get this right. Local of an area. To be a local of an area means to be a person who lives in that specific area and is familiar with its customs, businesses, and people, often possessing a strong sense of community and belonging within that place. The term implies a connection to a particular neighborhood, town, city, county, or even larger that goes beyond mere residency, encompassing a deep rooted presence and understanding of the local environment. Hold on, let me find StreamYard again. Well, hopefully y'all heard that. Really? What the hell? Yeah. All right. Hopefully the audio is still good. What does it say? No, no. I live. All right. This is the right one. Oh, because his parents lived in Mexico. His mom lived in Mexico. Yeah, I tried to open another browser and there became two of me, so I had to close it real quick. No, Richard Allen is definitely a local. He goes out and what you would call for things like the nightlife and his little billiard tournaments and stuff like that. He knows the people, its customs, what things they do on certain events like parades and such. I know where he was born at, but local being a local has nothing to do with where you were born. You can Google the definition and it'll tell you the same thing. And I'm not trying to be rude to anybody or whatever, but you know, if I've lived there for 20 years and I know when the parades are done and I know when the pool hall tournaments are and all this other stuff and where the good restaurants are and basically everything about a place, I'm a local. Yeah, apparently. Well, I mean, yeah, out of 9 people, isn't that crazy? Well, my fans that don't want to be known, I just told you about one earlier. Oh, well, I had a specific reason why it was this late this time, so I just don't want to get into it. You can be local to anywhere that you've lived for a decent amount of time. Now, I have lived in Alabama. I have also lived in Washington, Pennsylvania. Would I consider myself local in any of those two spots? No, because one, I lived there for a year. The other one, I lived for 6 months. I didn't know shit about the area, and I did not know much about their customs or anything like that. Like I said, if you just Google what is a local to an area, it'll give you all the information that's pertinent to the actual topic. Well, you can disagree, but I'm just telling you what the actual definition is for a local of the area. This is just your opinion. I'm actually using facts of what the term local for an area actually means. And when people are saying it in regards to making a profile or something that's concerned, they're using the definition because that's the fact. This is just y'all's opinion. And opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. That doesn't mean they're correct. I hate to sound blunt about that. Did Rick know when all the events locally were? Like the rituals or like parades or I'm not sure. Don't they have like a strawberry or a bacon thing or something like that? I'm sure he knew when all that was. Just look up the definition, then we wouldn't be having to have this discussion. It's more than just living somewhere. It has nothing to do with where someone lives. Knowing the people, knowing the place, knowing the customs. What are you talking about? Knowing the people, knowing the place, and knowing the customs of the place is what make you a local. How are you not going to say that Richard Allen is a local based on those facts? He knows the people because of his job, right? And the billiard hall stuff and all that. But that falls under the customs, and that's how he knows them. There was events on his wife's Facebook where they literally went to the bacon fest and stuff like that. How would you possibly say that he didn't know the customs and all that of the area? And the parades. This is what I mean. I don't know where the information came from, but Yeah, if local is the only thing that you seem to be able to pinpoint after my profile, then it defeats the whole purpose of me saying in the first point that you're wrong. He matches the profile because the only fact that you have to bring up is the local part. And your definition of a local person to an area is just wrong. And the fact that you believe that your definition is correct and the one given by Google is wrong. Well, there's more coming. I just gave you the basic major points of it. Being an outdoorsman of some kind, if you're going to say that's wrong, well, then we might as well just not have this discussion at all because you're just lying to yourself. Or that he's a local, which obviously we're still having, which is oddly enough. How long have you lived in the place you live at now? What's up, Peggy? Now I need to go through the transcripts and all that to literally get the best amount of information out here to make the right profile because I don't want to make wrong guesses. But the major plot points so far are all screaming Richard Allen. I literally said an outdoorsman. An outdoorsman could be a hunter or a fisherman. In fact, the license you have to obtain in Indiana to go hunting is the same license that's required to go fishing. Need I say more? So you've been there for 30, but you consider yourself a local, but you weren't born there. That, isn't that against what you just said now? What Richard Allen wasn't born there. He could, um, dog, you just like contradicted yourself. I'm not trying to sound rude. Well, not in Indiana, we don't. Well, I mean, I don't know why I said we, but yeah. The testimony at the trial, literally, if I remember correctly, stated on his fishing/hunting license, he gave his height that. But yes, how could you not call a fisherman an outdoorsman? Do we really need to have this discussion? Can you go fishing inside and still call yourself a fisherman? I'm sorry, that makes me crazy. Because the last time I checked, to be a real fisherman, you literally have to be outside, right? Because of him not using a ruse, his demanding and ordering off of the bridge with a weapon means he's also lower to about average intelligence. He also could have been seen by multiple people if they just happened to be home at the time. You could fish inside, hypothetically. Yes, you could. Stop being a pain in the ass, Peggy. She just fucking with me. That's all she's doing. No. That's not technically fishing. You go in there, you point, and they grab you a fish. That's different. Now you can go in the Bass Pro Shop and catch a fish in their little lake thingy, and some places like that. But are you really? I'm pretty sure you don't need a license to do that. There we go. That's the best explanation I can give. If you need a hunting or a fishing license, I'm gonna say that there's a good damn chance that you're fucking an outdoorsman. How about that? Does that sound fair? That's true. I will admit to that. But even the gun is a lower intelligence weapon. You have to be there in person to possibly get seen by witnesses and all kinds of other shit. A high intelligence will use a ruse. They will use weapons like poisons. that will, work later on, giving you time to get away, or like bombs and shit like that. This is what high intelligence people use. Remember, these are just guesses based on crimes before. On average, the murders committed by box cutters. There's one thing in common. They're either a young to middle-aged suspect, right? With low intelligence. Because anything can happen. A broken razor blade, the box cutter epping up, all kinds of shit. It is not a very good planned out weapon, if he indeed planned to use it at all, which I'm not sure of. And I'm not going to say he's that dumb either, because it was well planned out in its own way. I'm hearing there wasn't adhesive, but there was probably something around one of their, not around as in over their mouth, but around the mouth, and all kinds of other stuff. You cannot stay off of YouTube with 24 hours. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was gone for a couple of days. I don't want to explain why. But yeah, we know he's a white guy. The witnesses said he's a white guy. Whereas, as I said in the beginning, a very light-skinned Latino. Sure, that's possible. But we know that Mark's right. Okay. Below to average intelligence. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, he's 44 years old and working retail, and he doesn't like people. Personally, at that point, if you're smarter, you find a different job, right? Hold on, I'm trying to read what Piggy said. Well, that's why I only gave the basic information, because I want to dig into this a little bit more before I give out all the fine details or whatever on the profile. But yes, just the profiling large chunks. And basically, yeah, there's a lot of trail killers, and also that age range. I there's a reason I went with it, because people like David Carpenter, many others that were trail killers and such, were around that age. And yeah, the age would have been late 20s to late 30s. Now that would mean give or take 5 years at the front or the back is acceptable. You can't say, oh, he's 44, he's too old. No, that's not true. That's 5 years off the day. That's it. You're like, oh, that's pointless to even argue about that. It's 5 years. Did you have a different mentality from when you were 39 than when you were 44? Hell no. Except one you thought you were almost basically already 40, and the other one you thought you were 50, right? Bet everything else was still pretty much the same fucking shit. Shut up, Shibby. You're just being a pain in the ass. How am I saying the opposite of everything? I literally explained why I came to each point. You're telling me somebody that lived in Delphi and was, fluent in the nightlife, the events and everything else, was not a local. I'm sorry, but you just don't understand what the hell a local means. Which part are you being serious about? Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about again. Because she's driving me nuts with this local thing. Like, just Google the damn warp. I say Rick doesn't like people, yes. Or in typical male fashion, he pretends to not like people. How about that? Well, I say he doesn't seem to like people because he's broody, quiet most of the time, and sounds kind of like aggravated whenever he has to speak. And if you're trying to say he doesn't, based on the information that we have and what we have of him talking and stuff, it kind of does seem that way. And that's not, I didn't call him, I said he may have antisocial tendencies. And that is true. Because where's his friends? We might have heard he might have one or two of them, but where's his actual friends? And he doesn't seem to like people. No, no, I mean, by the way he acts, but don't most men act like they don't like people? Are you serious? By the way I act, you would think I was what's that, an introvert or what the hell those people are that like to stay inside and all that other stuff? But you don't know how I am in public. It's called putting on a face. You learn how to do that in retail. Oh, basically, it's a white male between the ages of 20, I'd say about mid, yeah, like 25 to 29 and like 39, basically. Basically, mid to late 20s to mid to late 30s, which he was off by 5 years, which ain't shit. Um, he was an outdoorsman and a local because he was able to blend in, and unless he did anything odd, he wasn't noticed by very many people. Sure, they saw him, but nothing about him really stood out too much, except for the fact that he covered up his face and did all kinds of other stuff, which also leads me more to believe that he was worried about being identified, which means what? That he has to have some sort of job where he's seen by a lot of people. Would be a reason, wouldn't it? Uh, by what's heard by the witnesses and all that, you don't get. He made a mean gesture to the four girls he ran into. He said something in particularly mean to Betsy Blair. So in that little amount of time, and killed two girls, mind you. So that means in what, an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, just being at this one public place, he made multiple rude gestures and killed two people. How do you not see that he might have an issue with people somewhat, or at least women, because it seems to be all women, if you haven't noticed. And that's not Rick. That's Bridge God. The girls remembered him why? Because the one said, "Oh, he made this weird face or something at us, this, that, and the other. It seemed like he was scary or something like that." I can't remember the exact phrase or whatever, but he didn't seem to be the type to socialize because he didn't say much to any of them except for Betsy Blair. And what he said to her, she considered rude. So he didn't talk to anybody except for Betsy Blair, and he wasn't very nice about it, and the girls who he murdered. This is what I'm talking about. Y'all are in some motherfucking denial. How do you not, or if you just don't know these facts that I'm making, which makes me wonder, you know? He's obviously. Well, then I can turn that right back on. And did he look very shy at all when he was being interviewed by the police officers? Because he seemed to have mutual respect and have no problem talking to the males in authority. Or am I wrong? I really kind of wondered what it'd be like, and the way he talked to his wife, and I think and his mother on the phone too. I'm starting to, and you don't seem to know them because it's pretty obvious. The way he talks to women is differently than the way he talks to men. For one. For two, when they're higher up in authority male figures, well, we saw in the police interviews how much respect he gave to them. So that means he's got mad. But then when he literally wanted his wife out of the room, did he tell her to leave out of the room? Or did he tell the cop to get her out of there? The male. Well, he was tortured where? In prison? He was already making incriminating statements before he even got to jail. He told Holman and many others, it don't matter because this is already over. I'm sorry. If they're investigating me for a murder, that sounds pretty fucking. But that's not the point here. Unless you got some reason to say that he doesn't load to average intelligence, white, around the ages of 29 to 39, and I said around, if you don't know estimations, go back to school. An outdoorsman, frequented the trails, a local. So, yeah, anybody arguing the actual profile here is what we're talking about here. And the only argument I've heard, in fact, in regards to those, was literally just 100% wrong. That's what I'm saying. Y'all just, I don't know. I'm starting to think y'all basically be brainwashed by these creators or whatever. This is what I feel. I don't think, no. I would not call every man. There's got to be video gaming nerds and shit from Indiana that do nothing but sit in their house and fucking stream video games and shit. That's a wrong statement right there. Okay. Just saying you're listening to it doesn't give us any information that conflicts anything I've said so far. In fact, the only statement you made was literally, he's not a local. Well, shit. If I live somewhere almost 20 years, go to their events, and go to their hidden hideaway places and this and that, if that doesn't make me a local, what the hell am I? That's not part of the profile. What we're talking about is the profile. And you were the one that made the initial statement. Richard Allen doesn't match the profile. And I went digging on YouTube and everything else. And you know what I could not find? Any bridge guy profiles or anything like that. And that's weird because John Douglas or whatever the hell his name was, the FBI superstar or whatever, he even had one up. I remember watching that shit. So if that was the profile you're making, honestly, most of that still works for Rick Allen is the problem. And I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. I'm pointing out the profile itself, not the other stuff, the other evidence. I'm talking about just the profiling because profiling is a tool. It basically uses estimated educated guesses for specific categories to narrow down the parties or groups to smaller lists to figure out who a suspect is. It should not be used as any reason somebody gets convicted. I just wanted to show everybody because I've heard this quite a few times, and I'm not trying to be rude by pinpointing anybody out. And I've heard creators say it and this and that, and I'm like, "Where's this profile at? I'm gonna see it." And nobody will ever give me it. In fact, I get banned often when I ask that. And like I said, I apologize if I'm sounding like I'm trying to be mean to anybody. I'm not trying to. If I sound slightly irritable, it's because I was in the hospital for a couple of days. Okay, that's it. Period. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it. Nothing. Yeah. No, I'm going to make even better one, and I'm going to finalize it. There's nothing about the crime scene that indicates the level of violence in their past. There is not one bit. You're talking about somebody with a possible. What was the phrase I was going this hearing? Someone with deviant fantasies. You don't have to be a violent criminal when you've been sitting here thinking about murdering people for a long time. This is also a fact. You can look that up. It's either somebody that started off young doing really fucked up crimes and moved their way up, or somebody that sat there for a long time fantasizing these crimes until they committed one. Sound familiar? I mean, his own weird wannabe things or whatever confessions, whatever you want to say. Literally, he states, "I've had fantasies and I'm a sexual deviant or something." I can't remember exactly word for word what it was, but I'm not saying the confessions are real or that they should be allowed. I'm saying in regards to, does that one thing he said match what you're asking about the violent tendencies? You know, when you're asking specific questions. Hold on, I gotta see what Peggy's saying. Hold on. Nah, not really. We don't know. There's nothing actually that pinpoints Richard Allen as being a pedophile. We don't know if it was two 19-year-olds or two 21-year-olds or something like that, or just one 21. Would he have not done it? I mean, we think that because you think that the girls are targeted, but we haven't figured that out yet. I'm sorry, we haven't. If he just got whoever was on that bridge to the other side or whatever, and that's who he settled down there, and that's why he killed them or picked them. And my guess is, at the moment, until I see anything that proves otherwise, that his victim type would have been any young woman, young lady, whatever you want to say. So while I guess, I mean, hypothetically, yeah, Abby looked like a kid. Libby probably would not have gotten much, taller or anything like that. So she's basically, while she looks very young, she could be still considered a young woman, correct? Yeah. But are you going to tell me that you haven't seen somebody that's 18 or above that looked younger than Libby? Because I guarantee I can show you some right now, or not right now, but after the live, of people that look a hell of a lot younger than Libby, and they're over 18. So you get my point there? And he himself said he was so sorry about Abby. He didn't say shit about Libby, now did he? Think about that. I mean, it also indicates a severe dislike or hatred for women, and I'm not sure why. But from all the different things that we've heard with past coworkers and all that stuff, he doesn't see women in a very good light. I'm not calling them correct, but there is a point there. Oh, you asked about Dino? Yes, I get it that they look like girls, but yes, I've heard girls of that age called young women all the time, right or wrong. But we don't have him letting anybody else escape. If we one day hear about some lady at the end of the bridge that he just let stay there, I mean, the only one we have to work with is Betsy Blair, who said she wouldn't get on the bridge because he scared her. Right? This is where the phrase "an organized crime with unorganized victims" started from in the first place. From day one, they were calling this crime a organized crime, as in the scene itself and how it was planned was all organized, but unorganized victims, and I think for other reasons it was unorganized too. The spot was picked out, the place was picked out, the crime scene and all that was picked out. He was always going to kill him and all that other good stuff. But the one part, until they can show otherwise, was the fact is, I don't think he had actually talked to him. She didn't say what. No, I'm telling you, whoever committed this crime had a superior hatred for women. It's obvious. His wife and his mom aren't, I wouldn't consider the same. And in fact, I've heard some things about his growing up and all that stuff that weren't so nice too. Who didn't say what? You can have a severe hatred or dislike for women without having to severely hate or dislike your wife, daughter, or mom. I mean, shit. Look at Ed Kemper. He murdered his mom. Or Charlie Branch. He murdered his mom. He'll tell you to this day he loved the hell out of her. She was just mean to him and strict at times and called him names. What you do and what you say are two different things. I hate to be the one to tell you. We're not saying that they have a severe dislike or hatred for him. We don't even know if they abused him or whatever. We don't know. What we do know is his mom banged a traveling musician, probably in a good chance of a one night stand. Which, yeah, you can find Rick's dad on YouTube. He's actually on there, believe it or not, and his songs and shit. He's passed away now, of course. But yeah, apparently him and Rick's mom didn't know each other very well, and it probably was a hit him up from a little one night stand kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Do you know how much odds are the percentages change between a single family or a single parent household? Oh Lord, y'all look up statistics, please, for God, once in your life. Okay, that means if your mom is taking care of you, you're stuck by yourself because somebody's got to be out working. And neglect, often cases, is much worse than abuse. Okay, but we're not talking about McClellan. And plus, we've heard shit about McClellan. What does a lawyer have to do with murders? Yeah, I don't have to check his family tree, dude. Literally, there's a guy, Brandon, what's his face, that was saying that he told people to rape him and beat him and all kinds of other stuff. Nobody's saying he's a good guy either. But I'm saying the actual psychological things that lead up to people having dislike or hatred or something of a specific. His dad's an arsonist. What does that have to do with the Delphi murders? Nothing. And that's literally a strong arm argument, man. That's all that is. It's like Brian Koberger couldn't have committed those murders because, um, or somebody else couldn't have committed the Idaho murders because their dad was an arsonist. That makes no sense. That means not even their dad. You're talking about a lawyer. Unless we could put Nick McClellan at the scene, or Nick McClellan's dad at the scene. Mine, actually, yeah, that would be the case. You know, that's the only reason you can even bring that up. It's not an exact comparison at all. Because Richard Allen put himself there that day. And I'm not saying anything bad about his dad. I'm saying his dad wasn't in the picture, not because of anything that has to do with himself. His dad wasn't there because of his mom. Well, his dad might be a criminal. Which one? Nick's or the musician? But that doesn't matter because the dude wasn't in Rick's life. It's what I'm telling you. Y'all don't seem to understand what I'm saying, okay? You don't have to be severely abused. How do I put this? Neglected feels worse than abuse does because to abuse somebody, you actually still kind of have to care about them a little bit. To neglect them is literally like they don't give a fuck about you. Do you not understand that? Yeah, and his grandmother too. We need to know more about any possible trigger events or the women in his family and everything else. But what I'm saying is the person that committed the crime would have a very bad outlook on how they think women are. We've also heard from Walmart employees that worked with Rick, the lesbians and stuff. that said he made insinuating, dirty comments about them and everything else. And that sounds like objectifying women to me, which isn't a good way to start things. Uh huh. Until the Delphi murders were somehow involved with fire and Nick McClelland, I don't get why you're bringing this up. Fire has nothing to do with the Delphi murders. This is what I mean. How do y'all even get the reasoning that you actually come out to? Because he's a self-righteous piece of shit asshole, and probably we don't know. Nobody can know unless you want to go find Mr. Doolin and say, "Hey, Mr. Doolin, why didn't you speak up at the press conference about the car or this, that, and the other when they're looking for that guy and you talked to that guy?" No. But what does that have to do with the actual murder? It has nothing to do with it. You're using strong arm arguments over and over and over again. Doolin was not there at the day of the murders. Doolin was not involved in the murders themselves. Doolin didn't put himself there. And need I say more? You're using arguments that don't matter. That seems to be the problem here. Can't there be corruption without Rick Allen having to be innocent? Yes, you can have both. And that's what I'm talking about. People that watch certain creators can't seem to get past that point. That's why we have these three big ass feuding sides. We got one side that says, he's 100% guilty. I just know it. You're full of shit. Okay. He's 100% innocent. I just know it. Free him. You're full of shit too. Okay. What do you guys? We think the police were corrupted and did it for some other sort of fucked up reason. But Rick Allen's innocent. You're full of shit too. Okay. Then I'm over here in my little rational group going, it could be a little chunk from each of those, but yeah, definitely not 100% because we don't have enough information. Boom. Very simple, very logical. You know, everybody needs to get past this whole 100% bullshit because there is nothing there to tell us 100% of anything. If there was, you'd be sitting here hearing me say it. Because I waited damn near 8.5 fucking years before I ever named a suspect. I looked at this case from every fucking point in its perspective. Trust me, I've sat here having so many lives and throwing out common things that everybody in this case that really dive into this case knows. And most of the people that I hear don't even know the shit. And I'm just like, that's kind of scaring me. Because you've already made up your mind, you don't have any of the information that worries the fuck out of me. Yep. Uh-huh. What does that have to do with in regards to the actual Delphi murders themselves that happened, or the profile of the killer, which we're talking about? Because Doolin is a fuck up and maybe a piece of shit and maybe worse or more. Nobody's discounting that. But what does it have to do with the murders themselves and the person that committed them? That's my question. No. As I said, there can be corruption of all different kinds. I've already stated many times that there's evidence that not proves, but points to literally them knowing about Richard Allen in 2018. I've said what it was. So if they knew who he was in 2018, then why the fuck would we sit there all this damn time? Right? Why was the card cleared? I get all that. Corruption, yes, I get that. There's a good possibility for that. But what does it have to do with who committed the murders? Nothing. You need to separate one from the other until there's some somehow definitive reasoning that puts them together. I know there was a appointment, but once again, what does that have to do with the murders? Dolan wasn't there at the time of the crime. That doesn't have anything to do with the actual murders themselves, because Whiteman wasn't at the trails that day. You catch my drift? And we also know that Dolan said Richard Allen made that testimony to him, and Richard Allen himself said he made the testimony to him. So why are we still talking about that? What does it have to do with the murders and the profile made for the murders? Yes, I think he did talk to the cops, and I know why he talked to the cops. Not to insert himself into the investigation or anything like that. He was worried that somebody identified him. I don't know if he was wearing his little bandana on his way out, but he got spotted by what? How many, Peggy? Like 7 different witnesses on the way out? And without the mask, at least one of them beforehand? Well, 3, but 2 are dead now, right? So that's almost 10 people that saw what he looked like in that small ass little town, correct? Without the face cover. That is, I assume. I saw Piggy's timeline thing and whatever. I could have swore it was like 7 people that saw him on his way out. And that's not even counting like Kavanaugh, if I remember right. So that'd be 9 if she's actually saw him. That's 9 people. So why do you think Richard Allen called and tipped himself in? Well, I'm trying to remember, dude. That's why I asked you. But you're like typing other stuff. We're not discussing the corruption, okay? Nobody said it was Ricky. That's a fact too. But how can you say who somebody is when their face is covered? And how far were the people that saw him on his way out? Because how many people saw him without his face covered when he was going in? By my executive, there was 3. There was Abby, Libby, and Betsy Blair, correct? Betsy, I don't know what her issue is, but whatever. And Abby and Libby are dead. And now, how far were everybody else from him? And we already know that the damn lawyers on both sides didn't ask very important questions. Because I hear in the trial that nobody was asked about Bridge Guy's height. But a citizen knew to ask the oldest and tallest girl of the 4, hey, about how tall was he? And she specifically told him, and this is fact, you can go look it up, he was about my height or a tiny bit taller. Then Maid proceeded to measure her height, and she was 5'4". Now, mind you, she was probably wearing shoes at the time when she was measured at 5'4". Now, Rick Allen in his hiking boots that he says he was in would have been about 5'6" or a little bit above that. So there's another thing. Once again, how many guys do you think that were that day? That big, burly, strong types, but only 5'6", which I know he's actually 5'4", but don't get me started on the whole. Yeah, but it's 5.4, right under 5'5". You got to add the hiking boots on. Y'all should already know this. This is just sad. But why are we talking about somebody who wasn't at the damn trails that day? It doesn't matter what was said to Dolan because that wasn't the day of the murders. A profile is made based on the murder victims and the crime scene. So there was 3, okay. Gotcha. And that's including Muddy Bloody or not? Okay. I thought McCain saw him too. Maybe I'm misremembering what you said. Huh. Well, okay, here's a question for the people that have read transcripts. How many people that saw Bridge Guy that day actually testified? There's the important question. You keep saying that nobody identified Bridge Guy as Mick Allen. Okay, how many people testified to seeing Bridge Guy? If, from what I just heard from Peggy, it sounds like 2. And if only 2 people saw him are alive, that's not really a strong argument you have there on why nobody said he was Rick Allen. I'm waiting for somebody to answer the actual question. I answered yours. Oh, and another thing. Next, we're going to get into bullshit fucking confessions. Because I tell you what, y'all keep leading into this Odin bullshit. I've seen the crime scene photos. I've seen the victims. I've seen the whole crime scene. I've seen all that. There ain't a fucking thing that points to Odinism. A fucking thing. So anybody that wants to say there was, please feel free to argue with me. Chicken what? I'm not disagreeing with what y'all are saying. I'm saying what is it regarding profiles made and how they're made. There is no chicken here. Y'all keep attaching things to the profile that don't fucking matter to the profile. Maybe I should have taught y'all how to make a profile first and then explained why. Maybe you understand. What? The stakes. Really? Really? So anybody, let me ask you a question, guys. So are you telling me you've never heard of a killer hiding? Because there's important detail, apparently, if you have not seen the crime scene photos, that people are just fucking forgetting. Often when a killer shows regrets or feels bad about what they've done, they often cover up things like injuries and all that other stuff, bruises, etc., of the victims. Because to them, it's like, oh, they're fine again in their head. It makes them feel just a little bit better. Now, if you've seen the crime scene photos, you'll understand what I'm saying. Because those big ass branches and shit covered directly over those injuries that he gave them girls. Because the damn sure wasn't trying to cover up the bodies. But they were specifically left right around the neck area. Don't believe me? Go look at the diagrams. And tell me if you don't see that yourself. Hold on, no. Go look and see if the throats aren't covered. Because that's where the damage was done. It's even been said in the trial, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all half-assing this shit. Seriously. He showed regret in his crimes, and often murderers that regret will cover up. Like, in Idaho, Ethan's blanket was pulled up over his neck after we know that his dick and everything else was stabbed by a fucking co-burger. Do you not get that? It happens all. Oh, Lord. It's sad because it's like most of y'all are here just like your first case. This should be very easy to figure out details. Killers often do things like cover shit up and all that other stuff. Why? Because then mainly, usually, it just means in their own head, hey, I can go into denial just for a little bit about what I've done. The Riddler. Yeah, I mean, all that means is he felt bad after he did it. Nobody's saying he didn't feel bad. But it's pretty obvious when those branches are right over the throats of what he was trying to do. I mean, you got to think that we're there overnight and stuff. So yeah, it could have had some leaves on there too. I don't think they were to hide the bodies whatsoever. I don't. That amount of sticks, branches, whatever you want to fucking call them, there was not enough there to hide anybody at all. Look up the diagrams of where the branches were found. And until you do that, we got nothing to talk about. Why save a phone with a video of yourself? Do you know actually where the video came from? Because it wasn't in her little saved like things. If you open your phone and pull up the gallery, you wouldn't have found it there. You do know that, right? The photo, the film, and the video and all that was not taken with the phone's camera. It was taken with fucking whatever, Instagram or whatever. So that means if it had still been going or whatever else, it would have been on the temporary files underneath the Instagram app. This has been known for years, dude. Seriously. And once again, that has nothing to do with the profile of. I don't mind answering questions you'll have or whatever, but this is like obvious stuff. Seriously. Didn't you remember they called this the Instagram murders for like a long ass time? Who would throw the phone in Deer Creek? How do we know it was thrown in Deer Creek? It wasn't found in the creek. But what do we know did go through the Deer Creek? The girls and Bridge Guy, correct? So isn't it a safe assumption that the phone got wet when they were running through the creek? We know that Libby was moved about 7-ish or so feet, not that far. And we know probably why they were moved, because there's like a bowl-like divot in the ground there. And honestly, it's kind of like the safest place you can hide something in that short amount of time. So that in itself makes sense too. Because I'm sorry, and I hate to say it because I'm not trying to sound mean, but Libby would have been about his size, height and all. So it would not have been an easy thing for him to move her. He couldn't move her far. Plus, they had the marks and all that from when he did. I mean, I don't mind contemplating things and this and that and the other, but yeah, at the moment, we got no evidence to point to that. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to stick with what I can prove at the moment in time. No offense to anybody or anything of the actual crimes themselves. Because I hear a lot of people saying that he took him away from the area completely and this and the other, and I'm like, that makes no sense unless you really call him damn near a retard. What do you mean by that? Because how they had people out there all night looking for the kids. So if he's seen bringing the kids back, I'm just saying. And plus, if you're seeing the crime scene pictures and shit, and I'm sad because I have, and I wish I never hadn't, honestly, because they're fucked up, really fucked up. And that's another reason I know that what the sticks were there for. Because if you're seeing the crime scene photos, you know you barely see the wounds at all because the branches fucking cover them. It's fucking obvious. No offense to anybody. I'm not trying to be rude. And yeah, you take too much of a risk. So even if he had done that, that just shows how much of a derp he is in the first place. And you want to bring up Odinist? I'm sorry. Okay. Uh, Give me one detail about the crime that actually matches what Elvis Field says. One. Anything. I don't want to hear antlers because there was one stick that did not look like antlers. I've seen it. Kind of near her head. That was not antlers. Okay, but let me ask you, what seems more likely? A killer magically, is able to escape with two girls, murder them elsewhere, carry them back, which I'm going to remind you how big, Libby is. I'm just saying. Through all those people and everything else and not be noticed by anybody. But still have enough blood in them that those massive pools of blood and stuff are left. And I know what you're going to say now. You're going to say, but there was so much more of Libby's blood than there was Abby. Okay, damn near, she was what? Twice the size of fucking Abby. You know, there's a major difference between the amount of blood in a person of this size and a person of that size. Like, I'm 6'4", okay? Right now I weigh under 200 pounds or so. Peggy's a fucking shorty. Hypothetically speaking, she's like, what, 5 foot or some junk, and she's tiny. Do you think she's got the same amount of blood as me, or no? I hate cops. That's where you just sound retarded in the first place. Because I'm the first one that is able to pinpoint. I called Charles Manson fucking innocent. This is what I'm talking about. If your argument's that, I'm the first person to call the motherfuckers out, and I always had been the first person. I literally told y'all spot by spot how I could have identified Richard Allen within 2 weeks using a no tip and just a couple of bits of information. So to say I only like and listen to cops, now you're just making a fool of yourself. Because I've been one of the worst fucking critics of everybody. Y'all talk shit about things that might not even have happened. Everything I say is fucking real and true. Then I bring up their past fuck ups, and even the federals I throw under the bus. But you're going to tell me I like cops. Need I say more? 90% of the time, I'm usually the first person to bring up Burger Chef and the FBI and who the leader of the Delphi investigation was in regards to the Olympic fucking coach diddling. So if I'm the only one that brings that shit up, how dare you say I'm the one that likes cops? Fuck no, I can't stand cops, dude. My cousin's fucking buried in the ground or cremated somewhere because the cops don't want to fucking close 29 murders. So don't let me even hear about, oh, I like cops. I didn't become a cop because fuck cops. Y'all must have been born like happy and white or some shit, because I tell you what, poor and white is just as like poor and everything else. And one thing we can't stand is fucking cops. Ask anybody from the ghetto if they like cops. They're important to the area, important to the job, important to keeping things a bit civilized. But 99% of the time, we'll do anything possible handling the situation ourselves before calling them. You know how many times I called the cops in the last 20 years? 0. I didn't even call them when I got stabbed or shot. I called the ambulance and they just happened to come with them. So you're going to need to make a better argument than that. Hey. Stop complimenting Peggy, okay? It's not getting you anywhere. No, I saw something on the screen, so I wiped it off my bed. But plain and simple, no, Charles does not like cops. And complimenting people like Peggy and stuff is not going to get you anywhere. She's been hanging out with me for a long ass time on here, so honestly, she's probably a little bit corrupted herself. And if you want to get annoyed at her content, I guess I might as well take a little bit of responsibility for that too. So, oh, now I'm yelling. Okay, Shibby! But no, I can't stand fucking cops. I'll do anything but call the fucking cops. And yeah, I was like one of the first people. I was like literally like, Peggy, make content. Could have swore, didn't I, her first live? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, was I your first live? I'm pretty sure I was. Because I can't remember if Fish's live was the first one for you or one of the other times. It's not important. But yeah. And you know what? It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside to hear people complain about Peggy or myself. Trust me. No. But you were in a live of mine. That is true. And you were in Fish's live, and I was in Fish's live too. Is that not correct? Because I can get you links right now and prove you wrong. Oh, Peggy's been in. Well, no, she wouldn't come up and join us on the second one because she was too good for us. Oddly enough, if it had been a week later, she probably would have. What, if Fishy's the recent one? Literally, were was me, Paradox, and Fishy? Because it was almost like recreating the whole Fishy original live that you were in. You don't remember? But you came anyways. You were in the chat, but you didn't want to come up on stage, is what I'm saying. What do you mean I ghosted you? I never ghosted you. You mean when you tried texting me? I hate to be the one to tell you. I lost that number for like a couple weeks because it was a text now thing. So that's why I gave you the real number this time. Because I never got those texts. Even when I was able to access the number again, I never saw any texts. Oh no, that was an accident. Remember? But that wasn't that live. That was fun for Dylan Masarchik or Dalton Masarchik. It was an accident. We were supposed to redo it, but then you redid it with Mark, and I was like, fuck her, me. Because by then you didn't like me anymore. So what was the point? Well, I'm right, right. I literally was in a accident in my truck. No, she's just trying to make me look bad. That's all it is. And I'm not going to go into details or whatever, but literally I have pictures of the truck and everything else. And I think I had a concussion too. Can't really remember that night, so it's probably the case. Well, I remember seeing a video on your channel that said that or something. I thought I did. Maybe I'm wrong. Huh. At least I thought I did. Oh my gosh! Yeah, I told you. Everybody just fucking okay. Well, you're typing and I'm talking. It's different. You get to see and hear how I respond. Not to mention the other night she saw this icon and she's like, Charles, and I'm like, what? She goes, I'm like, are you talking about my avatar? She's like, yeah. I'm like, listen, okay. He's a red dragon. I'm a fire dragon. There's fucking difference. Lots of people like dragons. God, I'm not angry. Listen, y'all, I can't hear myself. I'm not sure how y'all hear me. You're damn right. You're damn right. Because I am. Okay, you. Girl, I watch anime and the main character is a fire dragon and he's literally my favorite character in the whole anime. It's so weird that somebody would. Yeah, I'm sorry. Fuck you, shitty. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, back to false confessions. Okay, usually the first signs of a false confession are from like mentally challenged people. I forgot what the other one was, but mainly one of the main first big reasons why they falsely confess is usually due to cops talking them into it or mental problems. And who made the confession? I don't smile. That's how much you know about me, biatch. I never smile. I'm fucking Charles. You can find a picture of me smiling? Shit, I give you $1,000. How about that? You want to know why? Because the only pictures that exist of me, I fucking took. Unless I was a kid and they all get destroyed in the fire, oddly enough. Charles doesn't blush either. That's just silly. Now, why would you have to remove your comment? Hold on, Peggy. Let me okay, this is annoying, mind you. Okay, I'm just gonna mod that person real quick. This is yeah. This is just like getting kind of annoying. There is no blessing here. No, I was trying to mod her, that person, so she could get rid of her comments, but now apparently I got to do it myself. Wait, doesn't mean I got to remove all of them? Oh, fuck, man. And this was one of the lives I wanted to keep, too, man. I'm just going to have to delete the damn thing and do it all over again. You know that person's going to find out either way it goes, right? Because look at the people talking compared to the number that's in here. And you do know that, like, I'm not going to say specific names, but Jay watches all my episodes, which is makes her like my silliest creator that doesn't like me, I guess. Because it's like, you don't like me, but you watch every episode. That's weird. Oh, thankfully. Oh, God. Okay. Phew. That sounded like effort. I was literally going to delete the whole fucking video. That's what happened earlier. YouTube Bad Actors was like, delete that live. And I deleted it. And she goes, well, what happened? I was watching that. I'm like, you just told me to delete it. She goes, I didn't think you actually would. I'm like, but you told me to. All I saw was Charles delete that live. Okay. Which was sad because I was getting some decent hits on that shit. I had like almost 300 fucking views on that bitch. And Jace was like, told her, I guess, oh, I watched it. You were awesome and da 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 da. But I hate Charles. Oh, yes. Yes, I can. I do often. So if you want to come do a collab or something, want to dual stream, I can set it up that way. But you do know to dual stream or whatever, I'm pretty sure like you have to be logged in as one of the extras on the account on the StreamYard, which is not hard to do. I'm just not sure. Yeah, I have a way to do it, and I think it means I have to give you access to the StreamYard, and then you go and put your information in. That way, I don't have it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which I don't. It's not that much of a problem. But yeah, we dual cast and stuff. You're two people. I watch on computer, but type on phone. Often, I'm probably yeah. Anybody, I think anybody that has a YouTube tab open to this or whatever would be considered another person. But it wouldn't surprise me to know that there were trolls here watching, and I don't really mind it because they were the same people that were watching me when they liked me. So if they liked me enough to watch me back then, and I'm not hating on them now, then what's the big deal about them watching me now? I really don't care. Yeah, if there's somebody else on, which yeah, I got some collabs lined up and everything else, which at the moment I'm kind of keeping the names to myself, but whatever, because some of them, well, I actually have a lot of shit going on in the works, which I'd like to hear about it. Sounds kind of cool, actually. You don't stream at all. That motherfucker wouldn't get on the damn stage, paid him money. I told him, bro, your friend's dying. Come up here and say, I love you. Say something. Say hi. They said, crickets, 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 crickets. Oh, that's not. Go on. You don't double stream anything, motherfucker. But oh, what is it? No, I am setting up things in regards to a list of people I think that I can get into a conversation with on live to literally have guilters and innocenters and conspiracy theories, fucks, all on the same stage in a conversation. You would think that's crazy, Charles. There's no way you can do that. Already done it. And I'm going to do it again with more. And I'm making lists. Believe it or not, I've already got pretty good. You know who seems to be the easiest ones out of all of them to find to actually get into a conversation about this shit? The people that just straight up think he's innocent. No conspiracy or whatever. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't say that. They do think the police have been kind of corrupt or something like that. But that's not like, well, it's a psyop, blah, 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 kind of crap. Which I'm not saying is untrue. I'm just saying what are the odds at the moment until we know more. That's all I'm saying. you will call in soon to someone's show? Because I had two, was it two? Yeah, we had two heavy phones, and we couldn't even get them to send me a damn email to talk about them coming on there just to say hi or recording themselves saying hi. Nothing. And if I can't even get them to do that, it's got to take. Oh, basically, he must be saying that he's going to be on a prop show or something like that. Because that's the only person I see that him actually going out and hopping on the internet and making a call for. Am I right or am I wrong? I've been a guest on Prof Show a few times actually. I wonder if those lives still exist. I'd love to hear them. Y'all wouldn't. Well, I mean, I don't know. Peggy might. But yeah, very bad news. I've seen the whole Elvis Fields confession, and none of it, not a fucking bit of it, matches the actual crime scene. He didn't know about the box cutter. He didn't know about any of that shit. He didn't know about the gun either. So here's the problem: if cops hold back, he told you. Promised me everything in the world. It said, I'll let you do this, this, that, the other. And if you just do this, and I said, bitch, I do what I want. No, he disrespected me, and I'm sorry. He disrespected me enough times. No, 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 no. We don't have that. Simple as that. If I'm talking to you with a certain level of respect and everything else, I expect the same too. Well, good for you. Good for them. You're gonna have two exciting guests on my. Who's that? Because I can already tell you, I got Mean Girls coming in, and I got Crankers, Troll Farm. Looking more now at just the conspiracy parts. I got everything else covered. Sounds boring to me because I have a tendency not to listen to people's content that don't know the facts as I do. It makes me wonder why they're making content in the first place, and most of the shit I have to say, props doesn't even talk about. Beth and Jerry, Ben and Jerry. Oh, you're gonna have ice cream? Wait, Jerry Holman? No, not doubt it. Oddly enough, I bet I could get Holman on my show. And Vito. Vito owes me one. Half man? What is half man? I mean, hell, I could try it. I know her in person, but I can always try to get that mysterious lady to come on here that somehow got me in all this trouble in the first place. Something tells me she's not going to want to talk. Gaping hole. Oh, so yeah, Holman. How'd you get Holman on your show? Well, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if anybody was like, "Hey, I get this person to come on the show," because at this point in time, it's like, if you don't actually reach out and call these motherfuckers or email them and shit, how do you ever expect them to even know that you want them on the show, right? Ah, okay. So she's just fucking with us. Gotcha. Y'all would shoot a break if all of a sudden I had an episode and then fucking Vito was here, wouldn't you? Um, I guess I can talk about something. It'll probably get me in a bit of trouble, but it's not the same as releasing him, right? Hey. Well, I was going to do it on Peggy's show, but she just never had the live, so it's not my fault. Ow, ow, ow. See, dog, that's what I do for my friends. I was willing to talk about it. I still am, so it's only like I got like 100 people watch this shit anyway. Ooh. I'm still, it fucking hurts. Ow. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a whiny bitch. I just got out of the hospital after like 2 or 3 days almost. But I will tell you some of the information that involves conversations with Rick Allen in them. You know, there's more people watching. They just don't want to talk. And it's not like anything it's jargon. Like, well, I don't know. Peggy doesn't really care because she still thinks it's possible that he was involved. So that really doesn't matter. You're the only one that thinks that he's that innocent, bruh. The most common phrase I hear in regards to a lot of specific subjects in regards to Delphi is people bring up Walla. They say everything she said is bullshit, blah, 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 blah. Nothing she said is true. I'm sorry. There's evidence that proves different from that. And that is, well, he seems to comment about incidences in his conversation that was had with my associate. Because he mentions his faith and quite a bit more in his accidental message sent to the wrong person. And it definitely completely regards it as something Wallace said. So if that part's true, isn't it possible the rest of it's true too? Because that had a major part to do with it. And yeah, don't even get me started on fucking Reese's Pieces. Whoa. I'd rather just not even answer that topic. Kurtz is full of shit. So is Garth. Keegan's a walrus that doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about and changes his story every 5 minutes. So when you guys go streaming, we only see the names of the people that actually chat in the chat. That's it. The people that are up there. Let me see if I can. Yeah, if I click the eye, it doesn't say anything. Yeah, there's no way to tell who's watching at all. And that's just it says 10 people were in here. Well, okay, it was the first funny name I thought of when I kept seeing his name. I was like, Reese. Well, no, she corrected me and she was like, his name's not Richie. Because I thought that's how it was pronounced. She goes, no, his name is Reese. I'm like Pieces? So then I started calling him Reese's Pieces, you know? And then I saw his recent pictures and I was like, oh shit. And I gave him a new nickname. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying it, but fuck it. His new nickname, y'all, is Venom. Now, if you can figure out why I would call somebody Venom, you're smart. But yes, I do have a recent image of him, but I'm not going to show it to anybody. So you don't know what Reese did? Yeah. Stop playing stupid, Chibi. And we don't call him Reese's around here. It's either Venom or Reese's Pieces, okay? It's got to be one or the other. I prefer Venom. I really like the way it sounds and it rolls off your tongue like venom. No, I didn't say venom as in like a snake's venom. No, I mean Venom as in like the character from Spider-Man. Yeah. You know who the character from Spider-Man is? That's called Venom. But yeah, based on Elvis Field's confession itself, his mental issues and everything else, his lack of sleep around the time that he made the confessions, that was also mentioned by his sister. These are all red flags of a false confession. Eric. Who the fuck is Eric? What are you high? That's not even the name of Venom. From Venom, the character from Spider-Man. The one that looks like Spider-Man, but it's black. Covered in symbionite. Like the suit is Venom, but then it jumps onto people, and then they become infected. I think it was Biff Tanner or some shit that was infected after Peter Parker was. See, you don't know Spider-Man? That's why you gay. Just saying. That's why you gay. Yeah, but the character for Venom itself wasn't introduced to, I think, in the 90s. It's the guy that is really built, was a jock that Peter went to school with. Um, and he's the one that Peter got fired as a journalist at the Daily Bugle or whatever the hell it's called. The really stat guy. And after he got rid of Venom using a bell, a massive church bell, because the vibrations made the symbionite let go. In the second movie series, The Amazing Spider-Man, yes, Venom was there. He was Topher Grace. Yes, Topher, the one Topher Grace played with the black suit that like talks to him and shit. That's Venom. I know it sounds gay with Topher Grace. I agree. I agree. Worst person you could probably have. Think of the new movies, the Venom movies with the guy who played Bane in them, Tom Hardy. That's a better representation of Venom. That's in fact damn near perfect. I give him props for that. Because when a symbiote takes over a subject or whatever, they try to incorporate themselves and join their host. And that's what the symbiote is. The Fantastic Four shots Peter Parker up into space, or they flew back from space, but it was attached to the ship and somehow jumped on fucking Peter. The movie Venom. There's like 3 movies that just came out in the last 5 years. Where have you been? You live under a rock? Hold on. I will get. Mm, no, no. I changed my mind. I'm not going to go get a trailer or something for Venom because you know who the fuck he is. Because nobody's that stupid. Ignorant, whatever. Everybody's seen the thing where the guy gets covered with a suit and talks about, like, he calls himself we, this, that, and the other. And it's always talking about eating other humans. Yeah, see, everybody knows who fucking Venom is. Everybody. That's why I stopped. I was like, nah, 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 I'm not falling for that bullshit. That's like saying you don't know who fucking Batman is. Shit. Hey, anybody gonna go watch Young Guns 3? I'm totally gonna watch that shit. So they can drag old, decrepit John Bon Jovi out of fucking death and make him make another song. Peggy probably got bored. But yeah, literally 15 to like 30% of all confessions are usually false ones. And this is the whole main and simple fact of why police hold back key information and don't tell anybody because they want to weed out the fake confessions from real ones. So I don't understand why people put. I guarantee most of these people talking about Elvis Field's confessions have never seen the actual confession he made. you had, even you'd probably be looking at it going, that don't make much sense. There's a reason it doesn't make sense. Because it's bullshit. No, she probably got a call from the other person. Like, man, why are you on the computer, girl? Yeah. Uh-oh. Number went up again. I don't know why he sounded like Sylvester Stallone, though, but I thought it was cool. I swear to God, I can't like dragons, man. What is that? That's the annoyingest, most annoying shit I've ever heard in the world. I like dragons. I got shirts with dragons on them. But if I use a dragon avatar, not supposed to do that. Maybe I should be like Shibby and just put my face on my avatar. Yeah, her phone was dying. Any other questions, Shibby? How long has this fucking thing been, anyways? The number just keeps raising. Fuck. But nobody's talking. Anybody out there got any questions? Yes. Lots of collabs. You don't have to stay for you. Oh, I'm not saying you have to stay. But yeah, it's still under 2 hours. Shit, this ain't nothing for me. These silly peasants have no balls. They will not face me. No. Because I'm pretty sure I got crankers that are watching me, like Keith, and make sure I'm not saying anything bad. And then I got a troll farm over there probably watching me because they don't want me to say anything bad about them either. And I'm pretty sure, yeah. Well, I'd say props people were here to watch me, but I mean, you're right there, Shippy. So I don't. You're the actual one talking to me, so I guess I can let that go. But yeah, the basic information about the profile so far, I'm sorry, it matches fucking Richard Allen. So far. I'm gonna make it more detailed once, sure. But so far, every detail matches that motherfucker. Shut up, phone. I tell you when you die. No one else. That's what I'm saying. That's how I am, dude. I'm like, I don't spy. That's bitch made, man. I don't spy on nobody. I come out like, yo, what's up, motherfuckers? And then they gotta ban me. And then I come back, and then I come back, and then I come back. Until I just get bored, and then I'm like, okay, they knew I was there, that's all. Y'all see me do it, honestly. I'm like, everybody's like, Charles, they're talking about you on Peggy's channel. I'm like, I bet. 5 seconds later, hey, motherfuckers! Like, why did you talk? I'm like, did you think I, of all people, would lurk? No, 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 no. I am an experience. I must be seen and heard. Well, I usually just because I get banned. If I didn't get banned, like, you know how often I get banned for not breaking the rules? You would be amazed. Like, I'd say 10 to 15% of my bans are literally me breaking the rules. The other 85 to 90% are they don't like my name or they don't like me or my opinion. Hell, you can ask Fishy. If she was here, she'd verify this. The first time me and her went troll raiding into different lives and shit, she left for a minute while I was sitting there in the chat. And by the time she came back, a mod was flipping out on me and trying to ban me and shit just because of my name alone. This Fishy's creepy, dog. She's probably here right now. It could have been worse. I could have called her a voyeur or something. She likes to watch. How about that? That sounds creepy too. But yeah. But yeah, there's like people saying, well, he wasn't an outdoorsman. If you're a fisherman, most of the time you have to be outdoors to do that, guy. Did you see the argument that he wasn't a local? Really? Really? I try to help some motherfuckers out by literally saying, hey, you know that one thing? It's not true. It's not the fact that these people don't know the truth or whatever. They know the truth. They're in denial. It's almost like there's a bunch of cults being run on YouTube. It almost like it is, really. And I've learned now how to make my own cult by just watching these creators. Yeah, distract away from the important information and just keep picking out the what could be's. I'm gonna do a test theory on that soon enough. Just watch. I'm gonna create another account, somehow hide that it's me, and see if I can't start doing the same. Probably with Delphi. And I guarantee after a while, a whole bunch of people are going to get all fucking paranoid and shit and be like, oh my God, conspiracy this, conspiracy that. And then I'm like, see, guys, this is how you create a cult, period. I know. That's why I used to go to most places. I don't listen to creators for fucking content because the information, if they're talking about the right stuff, I already know it. This is why I always tell people the first thing you do is before listening to a creator, verify every fucking thing they say, or just don't believe it, period. Because don't believe anything without evidence. Very simple. Because I've seen it plenty of times where people on the troll farm side, I won't say were lying straight up, but they were just withholding certain facts. And when you do that, it kind of makes things look a little sketchy. And the crankers, they kind of do that sometimes too. They've gotten better about it, so I'll give them, I'm the most happy with the crankers at the moment in time, oddly enough. Seriously. Well, actually, I'm more happy with the mean girls, but the crankers are up there too. But the least one, I'm sorry, it's this conspiracy theory crap. Because I came up with the best conspiracy theory of them all, and that's the one they're using. So I'm sorry, I can't believe the bullshit when I made it up. You know how Prop and all them keep talking about the cartel this and the cartel that and all this other crap? You know who all made those connections and shit? Me. They got the cartel wrong. They got so many details wrong. But yeah, it's the same fucking shit. As a line I used to use all the time where I tell people, well, if you really want to, I can connect Abby and Libby's murder all the way through 11 states or some whatever shit, all the way to Mexico, and this and the other. Technically, I can. So it's not really a lie. But there's nothing really about that that somehow indicates that it's about a bunch of maybe bullshit. If one piece falls apart, then you lose the connection. If Tony and Keegan doesn't go to Vegas, well, you're stuck. So the whole conspiracy theory thing falls flat if they are just going there to just gamble and shit. And that's kind of scary that all these people were talking about it like it's a sure thing, but it's not. I'm sorry to have to say that, but it's true. But yeah, I can link ISP to the cartels through a member of a hedge fund who's either used to be or is a former or still cartel leader. Not like a co-leader. Not even that big of a person. And yeah, they were at a wedding for his daughter or whatever. Does that necessarily mean that they're all bad people, this, that, and the other? I don't know. Isn't it cheaper? They make it in Mexico. Isn't what cheaper? I mean, everything's cheaper if you make it in Mexico. That's a fact. But see, depends on what you're talking about. Like meth, certain ingredients to things like methamphetamines and all that. The ingredients to make them are easier to get and cheaper. Yes, but in some instances, it's you can either make it there, sure, but how do I put it? Then you get stuck with two ways of transporting it. You either transport it as a liquid. I've heard of them using, and they use multiple ways to transport the shit, to traffic it in. And one of the ways they'll do it is they'll soak t-shirts or rugs and all kinds of different things in a liquid form of methods. And once it gets to the United States, then they'll basically hit that shit with water and then dry out the water using lights. And once it's dried out, it's back to its solid methamphetamine form. So yeah, is it cheaper to make there? Mm, if you just had a way to get the ingredients, because they're not getting the ingredients to make it from Mexico, they're getting it from all over the place. Because the United States keeps mega tabs on the stuff that's needed to make it. The have to stuff. It's more than just pseudoephedrine. From what I know, is just well, for one, I heard it works better if it's a regular ephedrine, but pseudoephedrine or whatever is a plant. Real ephedrine comes from a plant, and pseudoephedrine is fake. So if you go on places like eBay or the dark web or whatever, you can buy pounds and pounds of the ingredient that's like ephedrine or pseudoephedrine very easily, as long as it's not in the United States. But then if you get all the ingredients and from here, then somebody here has to make and cook it and everything else. But it all depends on, I guess. I have no idea what the factors are, like who makes better stuff and this, that, and the other. From what I've told, they have labs and shit. It's not like your little hillbilly kind of fucking meth station down in Mexico. I have seen a few of them. They're fucking pretty high scale. And unlike America, they don't shut them down like for a long time. But honestly, it's not that okay. And before anybody asks any stupid questions, yes, I've been to Mexico multiple times. Yes, I have criminal organization, how do I say this, connections and stuff. Or at least I had. Well, technically I have, but yeah. Me, myself, I don't anymore. But my family members do. And that is through the Sinaloa cartel. Which is why I tried to tell Prof. I was like, Prof, you might want to correct yourself on the cartel because you totally fucked that one all up. I'm like, Sinaloa wouldn't be involved in fucking Indiana. That makes no sense. Each state has its, how do I put it, territories and stuff. And Indiana really isn't a Sinaloa spot, is the best way to explain it. Yep. What's up, Peggy? Yes, if the whole world needs to hear, yes, I have connections to fucking the Sinaloa cartel and the Latin Kings and MS-13, the Mexican Mafia, and the outlaw bikers. So, naturally. Hell, somebody that lives in my mom's house right now is a former member of the Mexican Mafia in fucking Sinaloa. So, and they live still in Mexico. They just half the year they move here, half the year they live in Mexico. Until ICE makes them leave, I guess. I got 16 nieces and nephews. All of them but two are half Mexican, half American. Every one of my sisters married Mexican men except for my youngest sister. Yeah, I'm about to end this thing, so. But yeah. Soon enough, I'm gonna have a live or whatever, showing people how to make a profile and everything else, so I can stop sharing people falsely claiming people who are or aren't matching a profile. Because it's not very hard to do. You don't have to have any degrees or whatever to fucking do it. It's actually pretty fucking simple. And like I said, certain details with the collabs and all that stuff, I gotta keep to myself at the moment in time because I don't want any downfall on the people that are showing up. So, and the discussions, well, that's a whole different thing. That's a crazy mess. I'm not even sure we're gonna have that on my channel or not, but I know I'm gonna be involved with it. But it's crazy about all the people so far that seem to be cool with it having that done. So, yeah. But yeah, everybody have a nice night. Thank you, lurkers and non lurkers. Have a good night.